There are about to be a bunch of breaking stories coming out about activists, movement leaders who have been directly targeted by the administration. I know this second, third hand. I know it is happening. And I know that there is clearly a massive legal fight, and people are trying to figure out strategically how to fight what Trump is doing, which is declaring war basically on the left, and specifically nonprofits, and specifically Antifa, right? Which is so effing vague. Trump issued what is being called the NSPM 7, which basically expands the domestic terrorism watch list. It doubles it. The people that are targeted are anyone, any individuals or entities who can be identified using the following indicators: anti-Americanism. Okay, well that's very clear. That's cut and dry. Yeah. And hasn't American history proven what being anti-American is? It's communism or socialism. Anti-capitalism, there we go. Anti-Christianity, support or for the overthrow of the United States government, so all of the Jan Sixers. Extremism on migration, what the F does that even mean? Extremism on race, like believing that it exists and people are bearing the brunt of structural racism. Extremism on gender, as in it's a construct. Is that extremist? Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family. So, childless cat ladies, you've been warned. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality. Again, very cut and dry on what American morality is. I mean, if you're not okay with a regular weekend in September causing the deaths of 9+ people because of the, 400 million guns we have in this country, that's anti-American. That goes against our moral principles. All right. AR-15s first, everybody else second. Now, this is according to just excellent reporting from Ken Klippenstein, of course, as always. This is the Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence. Trump directs the Justice Department, the FBI, and other national security agencies and departments to fight his version of political violence in America, retooling a network of joint terrorism task forces to focus on leftist political violence in America. This vast counterterrorism army made up of federal, state, and local agents would, as Trump aide Stephen Miller said, form the central hub of that effort. The NSPM 7 directs a new national strategy to disrupt any individuals or groups that foment political violence, including before they result in violent political acts. Before. So we're in pre-crime levels. I mean, look, I liked Minority Report as a movie. Okay? Problematic fave, Tom Cruise kind of crushes it. But notice how Stephen Miller is quoted there, which makes sense because Trump is not president. He's just a giant Sharpie who sort of rubs himself on different pieces of paper, okay? This is him signing it, and listen to Stephen Miller waxing on about who they're targeting and how historic this is.
This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism.
He's not even listening. Trump is just like, and this is Stephen Miller, because of course it is. Like, this is the actual danger that a second Trump term posed. Oh, you didn't get enough fascism in the first one? That was a practice round, man. Now they're going to do it for real, for real. Now they're going to take what happened in 2020, which was what? It was 99.9% peaceful demonstrations against police brutality, And they're going to use that to sic the National Guard, ICE, Border Patrol on all of us, and the FBI. So again, ICE and Border Patrol and the National Guard, they are the thugs, right? They're the ones who are they're the brown shirts, if you will. But the FBI and Kash Patel, in an effort, I mean, God, I don't even know what's a distraction from the Epstein files anymore. Everything, all of it, they always wanted to do this anyway, is going after any kind of leftist organizations. And that includes, and specifically, they have lists of organizations that I've worked with, that I've had on this show, that I care about, whose leaders are visionaries, are so smart, are so switched on. And again, these are not like, they're not like liberal charity organizations. They are movement thought leaders and people who've been thinking about how to put both pressure on Congress, but also how to build broad bases of people who fight for their own rights, whether it's on campaigns, whether it's around labor, whether it's around immigrant rights, whether it's legal defense strategies. And this is all happening in real time. So these stories of people whose homes are being raided, whose data is being snatched up, these are going to start coming out. And all of it also is just a total backlash to, let's be real, Democrats not squarely standing with groups like Black Lives Matter, right? Not doing F all while they were in power and not saying, you know what? This has been a festering wound, the criminal justice system, the policing system. It's a festering wound, and good on these organizations for dreaming up legislation, including the DREAM Act or the DREAM Act in terms of immigration. It was only because of movements that we even got things like DACA, right? Again, and immigrant rights organizations are going to be lumped in with whatever the Antifa or anti-Americanism is. Now, obviously, Antifa is silly because it's not an organization. It's just people when there are protests who want to be a little bit more militant, right? They're going to cover their faces. They're going to form a line. They are going to, and historically Antifa, like the name says, we're talking in the 90s, we're talking like early 90s, has consistently gone to Klan rallies and counter-protested, have consistently gone to hate rallies and counter-protested, and consistently the cops, guess whose skulls they crack? They crack theirs. Not because they're carrying weapons or anything, but because they're standing up against white nationalism, against hatred. But now, when you classify anti-fascists as being terrorists, you're kind of telling on yourself, right? And that's exactly what they're doing. And we can see it playing out right now in Chicago, obviously in DC and LA, as ICE continues these attacks, but also we see it playing out now in Portland. One of the sites during 2020 where protesters arguably had the most autonomy and support, and were able to have honestly have some incredible solidarity. And you can kind of see that on display as federal agents are being pushed back in Portland. I think this was yesterday. So this is outside an ICE detention center. And by the way, this is in the wake of Trump. This is in the wake of Trump calling the National Guard, the Oregon National Guard, 200 of them, to go to Portland to stop Antifa. So here's a little taste of the kind of solidarity we're talking about. Very often, you don't see federal troops backtracking because maybe there's like 30, 40 troops there, but there's like 300 protesters or 400 protesters, maybe 1,000. I haven't heard estimates of how big the crowd is.
Fuck off, Nazis! I said Portland!
like they're screaming ice out of Portland. There's like 15 of them, man. And then let's get the back shot here. Looking out at the crowd. Yeah. A lot of people are going to roll up and defend their communities. And you bet your ass if a Democratic president did the same thing in any so-called red city, that's exactly what would happen, except for there would be far more bullets flying. So, you know, these are the only people who are standing up for us. Because, by the way, Oregon is suing over the deployment of National Guard. The mayor has said, let me bring it up. The mayor, Keith Wilson, said it's a surreal moment that's being manufactured. And then Kotek, the governor, said, I want to remind everyone to remember that the Oregon National Guard is made up of Oregonians who are citizen soldiers. All of us are encouraging Oregonians to not take the bait. And again, this is a little bit like, don't throw a water bottle at them. It's like, come on now. Who's actually doing the incitement of violence, right? Troops or the people? The people are defending themselves. Their people are defending their neighbors from being swept up in ridiculous, ICE raids. But that's not even the pretense for what is happening in Portland. The pretense is Antifa. And so again, Oregon's suing, but luckily, there is another superhero on the way who's going to save Portland.
Is there anything you can do to stop it as in Congress?
Yes. First, we will fight it in the courts along with, people who will file suits. But second, I would hope, Kristen, that some of our Republican colleagues, seeing I know they're loyal to Trump and does whatever he wants, but this is so far stepping over the line that I'd hope some of them would join us in legislation to prevent it from happening.
I know they love Trump, but could you please join us? Prevent it, please. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for a few ghosts to come visit them at night. Maybe me, if I die soon enough. And then I'll visit them from beyond the grave, and I will shake my finger at them. Like, this is insanity. People are under attack. And again, it is so revelatory how little Democrats are fighting. The federal workers are on one level, but these open attacks on people, the open season on the left, right? The open season on these incredible organizations, nonprofits, foundations who are being put in the crosshairs, who are people that have helped them get elected, whose movements help them get elected, whose narratives they have chased, right? That the Democrats are not standing up for them is wild, right? And that we're just going to rely on the courts, which are more corrupted by the day, and we're just going to rely on the goodness of Republicans' hearts. Are you kidding me? They're afraid of their own base. They don't want to be the ones in the crosshair. They don't want to be in the list of enemies. What's his face? John Bolton's house was raided by the FBI. They don't want their home swatted or raided by the FBI. They're cowards, and so are you. So it's a game of, what's the game of coward chicken? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a word for who does nothing last. And that's the game that Republicans and Democrats are playing with one another. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.